A rough day in City Council. The Thompson Center is closer to being sold, and so much more in our Spotlight Politics. Joining us again, Amanda Vinicky, Heather Sharon, and Paris Schutz. Welcome back, everybody. So, Heather, let's start, please, with Kerry Austin collapsing during the City Council meeting. What happened, and what's the latest?
Well, I wish I knew. I could give people an update on her condition. We just don't know. She's slumped over, and this comes after a host of medical problems that Kerry Austin has suffered. She's 72 years old. She has been indicted for lying to the FBI and for taking bribes. She is actually due back in court telephonically on Friday. In the last hearing, her attorney told the judge presiding over the case that she was suffering very serious illnesses of a cardiac nature, and that's really all we know. It was a frightening moment, but as we heard the mayor say, it was, somewhat heartwarming to see aldermen sort of rush to her and to make sure that she was okay. And I know many people were glad that Alderman Anthony Napolitano was there. Of course, he's a former firefighter, and he is trained to handle emergencies like that.
That's right. And also, as you've reported earlier, we know that she was conscious, and right. It sounds like she asked not to be taken to the hospital. So, of course, wishing good health there. And we know that some of the stuff that she's dealing with could be potential contributing factors. None of us is a doctor. Alder people, though, they also approved sports betting at Chicago's professional sports arenas. So, Paris, what does this mean? Betting windows are going to come to Bulls, Hawks, Bears, all those locations?
Seems like it. I mean, it means a pretty lucrative revenue stream for all of Chicago's major professional sports franchises. It's pretty rare when you get most of the big-time owners, Ricketts and Reinsdorf and Wirtz, coming to city council, lobbying for something like an alderperson. It's hard to ignore. Of course, it was controversial because Neil Bloom, who is the owner of Rush Street Gaming, which owns Rivers Casino and has 2 bids out for the Chicago casino, said, don't approve this. It's going to cannibalize future potential revenues at a Chicago casino. Some suspected maybe he was afraid it might take some business away from his existing Rivers Casino in Des Plaines. But then the city had a study that it commissioned that came out and said, no, these are different clientele here. It's a different person that's going to walk in to this new, what they're going to call the DraftKings Sportsbook at Wrigley Field and bet on whether the ball is going to dribble onto the mound in between innings versus some go to the casino and bet at the sportsbook there. So a little disagreement on whether or not it would have a big impact on casinos. And Ricketts has said that now that this is approved, he's ready to start building this thing in the corner of Sheffield and Addison and get it up and running in 2023.
Okay. So
yeah, I'll just jump in real quick and say that tomorrow we're going to get our first look at these 5 casino proposals. Starting at 1 o'clock, it will be all 5 proposals will be presented at a public hearing, and it will really give us, I think, the first chance to see exactly what's being proposed, where, and sort of what the city stands to gain from that. And these are all crucial questions because the city is counting on revenue from a casino to shore up its police and fire pensions. That's where this money is going to go from a casino.
Okay, so Alder people approved a nearly $3 million settlement with Anjanette Young for that botched police raid of the social worker's home. Here's what Mayor Lori Lightfoot had to say about that today.
We recognize what Ms. Young went through and the trauma that she experienced. And I think the proof is in the pudding, unanimously, which rarely happens on matters of settlements. The City Council affirmed the agreement that had been reached with Ms. Young and her council to pay her $2.9 million.
Heather, the mayor's former corporation counsel slammed the settlement, but he was fired. So how does this stack up with other settlements from City Hall?
Well, it really ranks right up there. So by comparison, the family of Laquan McDonald, who of course was shot and murdered by former police officer Jason Van Dyke, his family got $5 million. And so it is in the same sort of ballpark. But it wasn't the only huge settlement on today's agenda. The city agreed to pay $1.2 million to the family of a 14-year-old teen who was shot in the back by a police officer and then kicked in the head while he lay dying. This was after a foot chase back in 2014, and it will not be the last foot chase police misconduct lawsuit that we will see. Of course, we are all still reporting on the death of 13-year-old Adam Toledo back in March, who was shot and killed after a foot chase.
Hey, Brandis, can I follow up on something you mentioned about the former corporation counsel, Mark Fleshner, who not only said that, he had some very heated comments for his former boss, the mayor, calling her rude, petulant, a quote, disaster, just ripping her to shreds. Now, this is intriguing because not only did they work together, but he's been an ally of Lori Lightfoot's for years and years and years. They've been friends going back years and years. Clearly a major breakup here. And obviously he's unhappy with how he lost his job, but saying things like she's been a complete disaster, and just kind of remarkable comments there.
Ouch. Yeah, those are harsh words from someone who apparently used to be friends with. Amanda, as Heather just mentioned, there were other settlements approved that total $2.2 million to settle misconduct in foot chases. Does the city budget for these estimated settlements?
Yeah, the city does budget, not precisely for, obviously there's no predicting what situation, but yeah, they do budget money for settlements. I believe there's been reporting from another outlet, I want to say ABC, that found $67 million so far this year in police misconduct. So yes, this is something that cities, it's not just Chicago, all cities do this. These are very tense situations oftentimes, and of course, unless there's been a lot of debate over qualified immunity. Typically, if you have a police officer not personally legally liable for any sort of situation, it is on an officer's employer, so often, again, a municipality, to take that up if there is any sort of misconduct or wrongdoing. I don't foresee, even though, again, Illinois has a very big criminal justice overhaul that is slowly taking place, there is no dismantling of qualified immunity as part of that, and I don't foresee that changing anytime soon. And in fact, Anjanette Young's attorney still says what she wants, of course, is never to have had this situation happen to her, but also for the city to act and do things like making sure that police wait before entering a home, even in a situation like this, banning any sort of, pointing of guns at children. She wants more action taken beyond just a cash out, but materially that she believes will, going forward, spare others from being in a situation such as the one she was in.
And so Anthony Napolitano's aldermanic prerogative overruled as alder people backed a mayor-backed apartment development. Heather, how rare is it that aldermanic prerogative is ignored?
It is basically unprecedented, especially in such a high-profile case like this. And it was really fascinating to hear Mayor Lori Lightfoot say, yep, we're all a little bit uncomfortable doing this, but we're doing this basically for two reasons. One, we need to provide affordable housing near O'Hare. This building will be built along the CTA Blue Line, just 2 stations down from O'Hare. And two, that this is an attempt, she said, quote, to break the grip of segregation, end quote, in Chicago. And those are very high stakes because, of course, she was elected on promises to do exactly that. And there can be really no argument that aldermen who represent white, wealthy wards in Chicago have used this power to prevent affordable housing from being built in their wards. And this is really a refutation of that ability. And we will have to see whether this is just a one-time thing or whether this really changes how the city approaches affordable housing.
Right, real quick, Paris, to that end, is this a slippery slope? Because Napolitano was warning his colleagues that it could happen to them too.
Well, like Heather said, it's unprecedented. It could be a slippery slope on issues of affordable housing for the reasons Heather mentioned, that the mayor wants to help reduce segregation in the city. I would think that it won't be a slippery slope on other issues. Right now in a pandemic, it's hard to vote against affordable housing when people are still struggling. And this is what the mayor promised when she ran. She said, we're going to get rid of aldermanic prerogative. We can't, it's ripe with potential for corruption and pay to play. And but aldermen say, but who knows their wards better than alder people? So there's arguments on both sides of this, but this is something that the mayor campaigned on doing. One of the principal things she campaigned on doing.
Yeah, so moving over to state politics, state is one step closer to selling the James R. Thompson Center for about $70 million. Amanda, who is this buyer and what do they plan to do with the building?
Prime Group is the buyer, and they plan to actually keep a lot of it intact. There's going to be some sort of glass curtain that will help, they say, to prevent some of the issues that you have right now with all of the noise that comes from a fast food court and the CTA and it being really a public building rising up, and as people, many of whom are state employees, of course, are trying to go about their workday and be on calls. I know a lot of people who work there. Let me tell you, there is a lot of excitement for at least something to be done. There are all sorts of images you can see of, water dripping every time it rains. Today it was evidently very, very hot in there because, of course, that unseasonably warm weather. I will say what is interesting is the state getting, I believe, $70 million is what Prime Group is paying for this, although Illinois eventually going to, in fact, pay some back because they're going to lease back the office space. This, of course, does keep the building intact, and I'm not privy to all of the agreement, but at a time when current Governor J.B. Pritzker's predecessor, Bruce Rauner, had been looking at selling the building, he was aiming to get upwards of $200 to $300 million to sell this prime piece of property right in the loop. So Illinois getting it off its hands, a lot of deferred maintenance the state no longer needs to take care of. But certainly it is a different real estate world than had this occurred years prior.
Of course. Meanwhile, Governor Pritzker downplaying a rumor that he had presidential aspirations. Amanda, he laughed it off, but where'd this rumor come from?
He did laugh it off, but it came from the New York Times, and generally this is, I try and give respect to fellow journalists who've done their homework, and certainly I think it is not outside the realm of possibility for Pritzker to be mentioned, in part because he is a governor of a very big state, and also he's got a whole lot of connections with Democrats. Before he became Illinois' governor, he funded many a campaign. He has the dollars to do something like this and to get that going, but he's very much focused, he says, on the next gubernatorial race, and this is sort of putting the donkey before the cart, if you will, when it comes to Democratic politics. It was a mention that caused a flurry of activity, but in Illinois, I'm going to say I, for one, am more focused, as I am quite sure the Pritzker camp is as well, on the 22 elections. That said, I'm sure anytime somebody says, hey, you'd be good for president, and there are folks with White House connections, that has to feel good, right?
So meanwhile, Cook County Democrats officially endorsed candidates Alexi Giannoulias and Fritz Kagi. Heather, any surprise with these endorsements?
A little bit. So Alexi Giannoulias, of course, ran for Senate unsuccessfully. He did serve in statewide office, so he does have a track record of being able to win statewide. However, it's a hotly contested primary. He faces City Clerk Ana Valencia and two alder people, Pat Dowell and David Moore. And I think that there were a number of Democratic Party members who voted not to endorse in that race, and his endorsement came just with a slight majority of people. So that race, I think, is very much up for grabs. In the Cook County assessor race, Fritz Kagi was elected 4 years ago, promising to revise the way the state or the county assesses properties in terms of taxes. He has made a lot of people unhappy because he has said that the system was unfair. And if you change the system, that means somebody's got to pay more. He is facing Kerry, who is a current member of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, and her husband, Mays Jackson, a well-known radio personality, says he will run against Tony Preckwinkle for Cook County Board President. He is so angry that his wife did not get the nod. So we will have to watch all of that, but these elections are right around the river bend, and we are going to have time.
Going to be another fun election year for Spotlight Politics. Real quick, Paris, before we let you all go, Illinois' pot czar, Toy Hutchinson, leaving public life to head up a cannabis lobbying group. Is that a quick turnaround? Is there some limit on when you can go lobby after leaving public office?
Well, it's when you're leaving being an elected official as a lawmaker. She was an elected official, a state senator. Then the governor brought her in to be sort of this deputy governor role or top advisor role, who was in charge of the cannabis program. So she isn't really privy to those rules, but another instance of a revolving door. And she was very instrumental in crafting Illinois' cannabis regulations. And now she's going to see a lucrative career in that industry. We see this happen all the time, fortunately or unfortunately, where legislators leverage their knowledge on certain things to go get jobs in those industries that they were making laws on. So, but no, she wouldn't, as far as I understand, be subject to any of the revolving door provisions, which are really weak to begin with in Illinois.
Okay, another discussion for another Spotlight Politics some other time. Heather Sharon, Amanda Venicky, and Paris Schutz. Thanks, guys.